Hey Boo Crew, it's time to talk serial killers. So get comfy, because I know you're going to like this, you cute, twisted little weirdo. My name is Selena Myers, and welcome to the Haunted Estate. Serial killer culture has us in a chokehold, and no matter what the crimes, how horrific, we listen with open hearts and eyes wide open. But not like open like dead, not like with anticipation. Not only were these people terrible, not all of them disappeared after their hearts stopped beating. Some serial killers and their victims are still restless to this day, and maybe forever.
Forever ever?
Forever ever.
Hey guys, I'm Adam.
Let's get into it. In the surreal 1970s lived a man by the name of John Wayne Gacy. But this wasn't just your ordinary man. He was a killer, a monster who prowled the streets and kept his gruesome secrets hidden in the walls and beneath the floorboards of his home on Somerdale Avenue. There, he buried at least 29 souls whose cries fell silent but did not go unheard. The house came down in 1979 in a frantic effort to bury the atrocities that happened within its walls. But the vacant land, most peculiar, never healed.
I bet it didn't.
Hollow ground. Can you imagine? If evil's there, how's anything gonna grow? There was a dog that lived behind my parents' house, and it was this giant Rottweiler, and I am not like a breed-specific person, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when it came to this Rottweiler, it died after attacking somebody. They buried it under a tree, and then the tree died.
Oh.
For a long period, the earth was barren, and not a blade of grass grew. It was as if the very ground itself was cursed, poisoned with the acts committed there, unspeakable. In time, whispers spread. Now, restless spirits, vengeful victims of Gacy's cruelty. They still roamed the place where their lives were snuffed out. Hey Adam, did we almost buy a painting by John Wayne Gacy?
We almost did, but
We
it was
did.
pretty scammy.
We were gonna do it for a YouTube video, but they didn't have any authentication. The guy who lived there and ran the place.
Sketchy.
It was sketchy.
Closed now. He's getting
It's not closed.
things going on.
Not closed.
Stuff's going on.
Still open.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Guys, you see, haunted places have a way of holding on to the past. The spirits that linger are often tied to some deep, tragic moment. It might be their home, or worse, the place where they met their untimely death. In these haunted spaces, you don't just see ghosts, you feel them. Look, I like that.
Yeah, you looked over there. I
Yeah.
like it. There's a camera over there.
Whoa!
She can say hi to you guys.
Hey!
Say hi, guys.
Hi guys! Oh, them! Strange noises echo in the night, lights flicker for no reason, and sometimes an eerie scent fills the air, as if death itself has left its mark. Objects move on their own, bells ring when no one is there to ring them, and if you're really unlucky, you might hear music playing in the dead of night. Certain places, it seems, are destined to be haunted, as if the tragedies that unfolded there soaked into the soil, leaving a scar that even time can't heal. From battlefields soaked in blood and murder scenes stained with terror, these locations attract the supernatural. Over the centuries, entire armies have been spotted marching the fields where they fell, their restless souls forever bound to the violence that claimed them. But murder sites, they're something else entirely. And John Wayne Gacy's house, that cursed ground on Somerdale Avenue, is a place where the dead don't just linger. They refuse to leave. Hello, you stinky baby. And I don't mean stinky in a bad way. I mean stinky in a good way. Because of Scentbird. I have been a perfume wearer my entire life. Because the truth is, scent is this unbelievable thing that triggers memories. I love that there's people in my life, and when I smell a certain perfume or a certain scent, I know it's that person. Scentbird is a perfume subscription where you're gonna save so much money. Look at this. Look how much comes inside of this. You get a full 30-day supply. It's up to the top. This is more than you get in those $50 samplers. So each perfume comes with this fun little card right here that's gonna tell you all about it. So this perfume is top note of pear, nectarine, rose, lily of the valley, and cedarwood. See, I love all those things, obviously. Mash them together, gorgeous. You get your first scent for $8. The best thing about Scentbird is you can change your fragrance every single month, okay? That is very affordable. A lot of perfumes range anywhere from $300 to $500. I've even bought a $1,500 bottle of perfume once. Don't ask me, I'm insane. This is travel friendly, so you can take it on airplanes, you can pop it in your purse, you can pop it in your gym bag, you can be like me, have one in the console of your car. If you're really weird, you can do what I do and just be like, oh, here we go. Say you're new to perfumes. You don't know what you like. You don't know what scents other people are going to enjoy. This is a great way to get into it. Again, you're not committing. You get to try something every month until you've, mastered perfumes. I love this one. So this is Ritual by Good Habit. I'm a vanilla girl. I am, okay? But this is whipped vanilla, coffee, sandalwood, praline, and sensual musk. I want you to enjoy the life that I am living, which is getting perfume every single month and getting to be a whole new different person, because that's about how fast my personality changes. You get to try the first fragrance from Scentbird for only $8, and your next month will only be $16.95 USD. Guys, I want you to live your best life with me, so make sure that you scan the QR code here or hit the link down in the description below and get 55% off of your first month using my promo code Selena55. And don't forget to check out Scentbird's deals below really quick. Thanks, Scentbird. To most people who knew him, John Wayne Gacy was a warm-hearted man who liked entertaining small kids. Why is it always like that? For parties he threw for the whole neighborhood, he would dress up as his alter ego, a character called Pogo the Clown. By 1978, however, the public's perception of Gacy would never again be an image of him, and would be referred to by its nicknames, which sent chills down people's spines, like the Killer Clown. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17, 1942, into a Chicago, Illinois household. His father, who served in World War I, had a tendency to drink excessively. This was usually vented onto Gacy. His mother was a homemaker who made sure she kept the peace within the house whenever her husband acted up. Gacy was a middle child and had 2 other siblings. He was born with a heart condition that kept him from playing sports, so he struggled with his weight when he was younger. Okay, we're getting a bit of a nice little spill bottle put together here, don't we, Adam?
Uh-oh.
We got mean dad who drinks, fat kid. I'm a fat kid. I'm not a murderer, but like I can see where it could come from. And a heart condition, couldn't play.
Nothing will induce a good serial killer story like childhood trauma.
Childhood trauma. It's like, you know how like you have the base, like flour's the base of the cookie. You can't have a childhood trauma.
Yeah, it's tough to have any of this stuff without some real nasty childhood trauma.
Childhood trauma.
Bad stuff.
Yeah, it's tough.
Stop the cycle. If you were traumatized, get help. There's people out there to talk to. Try not to move that on. Do not make it generational.
Break the generational curses.
The relationship with his father was harsh. His dad often hit him with a razor strap and also continuously belittled him with such names as dumb and stupid. Oh, here we go. Whatever Gacy did, he felt that he could not please his father. Oh my God, I have this in common.
Oh no, is this hitting the heartstrings?
Stop! I'm not going to feel sympathetic for a serial killer.
Right.
His mother, knowing her son had some heart problems, did everything she could to protect him. But this only aggravated the situation. His father began calling him mama's boy and sissy. Ugh! From age 14 to 18, Gacy was in and out of the hospital due to some sort of unexplained seizures with sudden attacks, as well as appendicitis rupture. Ooh, that's horrible. You can go septic and die from that.
Gross. And back then, too, I mean, the hospitals weren't as great with that stuff.
They just cut you open and dry you out.
Yeah.
His father did not restrain his cruelty even when Gacy was bedridden in the hospital and ill. Then, Gacy would recall his father accusing him of faking his illness and adding insult to injury.
Oh, man. You go to the hospital, your
cut
appendix
open.
is blown, you're cut open, but you're faking it.
And your dad's like, get up.
No one can help this alcoholic man.
It's baseball practice
an
time!
enemy to himself, society, and anybody around him.
Even early signs showed that Gacy was troubled. He once stole a toy truck from a store when he was 6. His mother made him return and apologize, but his father beat him up for it upon returning home over the incident. When John Wayne Gacy was just 7 years old, he and another boy were accused of molesting a young girl, which earned him yet another beating from his father with the razor strap. That same year, Gacy experienced a different kind of trauma when a family friend took advantage of him. So, okay, we're getting it all here. We're getting abused, we're getting yelled at, we're getting assaulted. Afraid his father would blame him, Gacy kept this painful secret to himself. Fast forward to 1967, Gacy was living in what seemed like a regular, successful life in Waterloo, Iowa. He managed the KFC restaurants, he was vice president of the local Jaycees, and had a wife and 2 children. Even his strict father had started to show him some respect. But beneath the surface, Gacy's darker impulses continued to simmer. One of his victims was a 15-year-old boy named Daniel Voorhees, the son of a fellow Jaycee member. Gacy gave him alcohol and assaulted him. Around the same time, he also targeted several other boys, sometimes pretending the encounters were part of a science experiment. Ew.
Gross.
Even paying them money for their participation. Eventually, Voorhees told his father about the assault, leading to Gacy's arrest. Though Gacy denied the charges, and even going as far as taking a polygraph test that revealed his anxiety, the truth started to catch up with him. In 1968, Gacy was indicted, and in a desperate attempt to avoid conviction, he hired someone to attack Voorhees and scare him out of testifying. The plan failed, and Gacy was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison. His wife promptly divorced him. You go, girl. She took their children, and Gacy never saw them again. In prison, Gacy adapted quickly. He turned himself into a model inmate. He headed up the prison's JC's chapter, putting together a series of projects aimed to help other inmates make it through the system, and he became the head cook. 18 months later, he was paroled. Following his release, Gacy purchased a home on Summerdale Avenue in Cook County, Illinois. This would be the same home where he would commit most of his future crimes. He looked up his old high school girlfriend, Carol Hoff, and eventually married her. Hoff, along with her 2 daughters, moved into the Summerdale house as Gacy attempted to live an average life. Did he try? Did he win? No, he failed. We're going to get into it. You know what? He must be a master manipulator to convince this woman that he didn't do that, because no woman in her right mind, especially with daughters, would date a man who touched kids.
Yeah, that might be worse.
Yep.
I'd probably rather marry someone that murdered than touched kids.
Yeah. Gacy also started a construction company called PDM and was quite successful. However, while things looked good from the outside, he couldn't contain his dark self. During one 1973 business trip, he attacked a young employee while being a guest at a hotel. The young man avoided Gacy afterwards and even fought him when they returned home. Gacy brushed it off, telling his wife that the boy was upset because he refused to pay him for poor work. At the same time, Gacy remained active in his community. He worked for the Democratic Party and even led the Polish Constitution Day Parade in Chicago for the next 3 years, during which he had his photo taken with the First Lady, Rosalind Carter. He joined the Moose Club and later became part of the local downtown club, where he created an infamous clown persona, Pogo, and Patches. These personas became the central to the mask that he wore in public, while the darkness within him continued to bubble. In 1972, John Wayne Gacy's first murder might have started with a misunderstanding. He picked up 16-year-old Timothy Jack McCoy from a Greyhound bus terminal, took him sightseeing around Chicago, and offered to let him stay the night. The next morning, Gacy awoke to find McCoy standing in his bedroom, holding a knife. Panicking, Gacy tackled the boy and killed him. Afterward, he walked into the kitchen and saw that McCoy had been prepping breakfast with an uncut slab of bacon on the counter. It is possible that the boy was simply waking Gacy up for breakfast, holding the knife in a way that made Gacy feel threatened. Okay, picture it. You're cooking breakfast, you walk in to wake someone up, and they murder you.
Hey, if they're bringing me bacon and eggs first...
But he didn't even get a chance.
I'm just saying.
Gacy buried McCoy in his home's crawl space. Weird. Gonna smell weird. Sealing the boy under concrete. Okay, I get what he's doing there. According to Gacy, the act brought him an intense feeling, one that led him down a darker path. From that point on, he began seeking the same thrill again and again. As Gacy worked long hours to grow his construction company, he also spent his free time cruising, a term he used for driving around and picking up young boys. In 1975, he had developed a certain trick to subdue his victims. One was called the handcuff trick, where he would convince boys to put handcuffs on themselves, often after plying them with drugs or alcohol. Then came the rope trick, where Gacy would use a rope as a tourniquet to strangle them. Meanwhile, Gacy's marriage was falling apart. His wife, Carol, grew tired of his frequent absences and strange behavior, and in 1976, the couple divorced. Officially, the reason was Gacy's infidelities with other women. But then, Gacy, who had already been committing his crimes for so many years in the house that he had shared with the 2 daughters, with Carol gone, Gacy was left to his own devices, and neighbors started noticing odd things, like Gacy leaving the house at all hours of the night, lights flickering, strange noises. One neighbor even reported hearing screams. Between 1976 and 1978, Gacy claimed to have murdered 23 teenage boys, burying them in his crawl space. He even had workers from his construction company dig the trenches beneath his house, sometimes stacking bodies 3 deep. When the space became too full, he began disposing of the bodies into Plains River. Okay, the smell. How did no one get the smell? Because even if you encase something in concrete, that is a porous material, you're going to smell.
Yeah.
Ew.
Insane.
Okay, so we're going to get into the downfall. In December 1978, when he lured 15-year-old Robert Peist with a job offer, after Peist didn't return home, his mother reported him missing. Gacy denied knowing him, but witnesses saw him with Peist at the pharmacy where the boy worked. The investigation led police to put Gacy under surveillance, and Gacy was oddly comfortable with the attention. Even joked with detectives, once telling them, "You know, clowns can get away with murder." Oh, he's getting cocky. He's getting demonic. He's getting weird.
Yeah. It's a little much.
The constant surveillance started to wear on Gacy. He finally broke down and confessed to detectives, informing them of his activities of picking up young boys, bringing them home, and torturing them. He confessed to the burial of the bodies in his crawl space and even provided a hand-drawn map of where each victim was buried. The police returned to Gacy's house for further investigation and found the crawl space flooded. After pumping out the water in the area, they found the bodies Gacy described, the ones that were still buried beneath the house. The trial of John Wayne Gacy started on February 6, 1980, when he was accused of the murders of 33 young men. As generally expected, the defense entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. No.
I mean, you're insane, but you're also guilty.
Yeah. He spent hours under psychiatric evaluations as psychiatrists worked on determining his mental state. Mental state. Fit. Psychiatrists for the defense diagnosed paranoid schizophrenia in Gacy, while the prosecution's contention was that the crimes of such a well-planned nature revealed the defendant who knew full well what he was doing. Both sides argued points. On March 12, 1980, after just 2 hours of deliberation, the jury found Gacy guilty of 33 murders, sexual assault, and indecent liberties with a child. Ew! Then, on May 10, 1994, the notorious Gacy was executed by lethal injection, consequently putting an end to one of America's longest criminal cases ever in history. But Gacy's story actually has a lot more to it than just the murders. Even in death, his hands left bloody prints on the lives of others. Back in 1983, while locked up on death row at the Menard Correctional Center, infamous for his horrific crimes, found himself in a surreal situation. He was stabbed by another notorious killer, Helly Brisbane, also known as the I-57 killer.
Oh, this is not funny, but
It's funny.
that's funny.
He deserves that. Brisbane was no stranger to violence. In one of his particularly vile acts in 1973, he forced a woman to walk naked through a barbed wire fence before shooting her. It was a bizarre twist of fate where Gacy, someone who is capable of unimaginable evil, was suddenly at the mercy of someone just as sinister as him. Then, just before Christmas in 1978, Gacy attended a party where people were getting their fortunes read by Florin Benson, a well-known psychic in the area. Gacy was always one to join in on the fun. He sat down to have his palm read, but something about him deeply unsettled Branson. She felt so sickened by his aura that she almost had to stop. Years later, when the news of Gacy's notorious crimes came to light, she wasn't the least bit shocked. This is where it comes into being a psychic is weird, because you get feelings. Adam and I had this conversation because there is this woman who went missing years ago, and as soon as she went missing, I had a gut feeling on where I think she is and what happened to her. And so many things have happened over the years, and I want to reach out and tell the police, but at the same time, I feel like I've made it all up in my head. But I haven't made it up in my head, because how many cases have I said things about and I was completely right?
Oh, there's been a few for sure.
But what if that's not it at all, and then I wasted their time?
And you seem crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy. Been called that. You went out. Rest in peace. While the police were interrogating Gacy, they sent a neighbor over to check his house. The neighbor, with a key in hand, went to unlock the back door, but froze when he heard something odd. Voices. Not just one, but many, all moaning from inside the house. He couldn't pinpoint where the sound came from. Not the basement, not upstairs, just everywhere. Like the house itself was moaning. Wow. That's like really cool
Spooky.
and disturbing. Like it's all the people under the house probably.
Yeah, I wonder if the house or whatever's built there, if anything now has any issues.
We should look it up.
We
You should
should
Google
check
that.
it out.
That'd be a good one. At the time, he brushed it off, thinking his mind was playing tricks on him. But later, he couldn't shake the feeling that the house was holding on to some dark, unsettling energy. Obviously, that many lives.
Yep.
It's crazy how long that went on for. Then Gacy's house at 8213 West Somerdale Avenue became a macabre tourist attraction, with people flocking to the site for a grim thrill. After the police had completed their search, the house was torn down in 1979, leaving only rubble. Yet the visitors kept coming. Oddly enough, nothing seemed to grow on that cursed land. Some skeptics claimed it was the lime Gacy used to cover his victims that made the soil barren, but that theory didn't quite add up. Every inch of the earth had been dug up and replaced during the investigation. All the land was almost new, yet nothing grew.
It wouldn't be lime.
Well, think of how quickly things take over, right? Yeah. Eventually, the property was sold, and a new house was built on the site. The address was changed, and slowly, life returned. Vegetation sprouted once again, as if the land was finally shaking off its sinister past. But over at the Cook County Courthouse, where Gacy was tried, deputies believe that the trial left behind some strange echoes. They say they can still hear the sounds of children laughing and playing in the courtroom, as if it was in defiance of Gacy's monstrous acts. A joyful innocence now haunts the place. Now, a lot of these hauntings can be explained as residual hauntings. Residual hauntings are one of the most common paranormal phenomenons, and they can be explained by the echoes of the past stuck on replay. Unlike other hauntings where the spirits seem to interact with the living, these are more like a recording of a traumatic or emotionally charged event that just keeps playing over and over, completely unaware if anyone is watching. More often than not, a violent murder or some other intense event leaves some sort of energy imprint on the place where it happened. This energy doesn't fade away, but instead replays the event, kind of like a movie on loop. So when people experience these hauntings, they're not actually seeing ghosts that know they're there. They're just witnessing past moments stuck in time. What's wild is that these imprints can stick around even after the place has been remodeled or torn down. For example, someone might see a ghost walking through a wall, but in reality, there might have been a door or a staircase there centuries ago. The energy is just playing back an old layout of the building. There are some famous examples of residual hauntings, like Anne Boleyn's ghost in the Tower of London. Anne was executed there in 1536, and many people still report seeing her ghost walking around, accompanied by knights and ladies. Her spirit has even been spotted at other places connected to her life, as if she's still moving between the places that were important to her. Another classic example is in York, England, where people have seen Roman soldiers marching through the basement of the treasurer's house. What's weird is that these soldiers seem to walk with their knees higher than the floor, as if they're walking on something long buried. Among other places across the country, residual hauntings have also been reported to happen in Pennsylvania's Gettysburg battlefield. Considered to be one of the most gruesome battles of the Civil War, this battlefield is said to have ghostly soldiers marching and fighting on it, with the sounds of gunfire and cannons still echoing across the fields. In each of these instances, the past has been impressed upon the present, and an undeniable mark of these intense emotions or violent death leaves an imprint of energy on that space, and that keeps replaying over and over for anyone who may be there to register the incident. But why does this happen? Is there any scientific explanation or theory for this? Well, yes, actually there is. One of the most interesting proposals is that of the stone tape theory, where materials, including stone or wood, have absorbed the emotional energies or traumatic or extreme events that later play back and cause a haunting. This idea is often used in explanations of residual hauntings. Think of it like an invisible tape recorder, where the walls or objects in a place have captured and replayed memories from traumatic events. The proponents of this theory state that when the conditions are right, like those seen during a lightning storm or within an extreme amount of electromagnetic energy is released, recordings can be triggered, manifesting ghostly activity. Perhaps it is that which gives rise to the claim that paranormal events increase during storms. It's just like when you get a bunch of people together and they want something spooky to happen and something spooky happens. It's manifesting, it's summoning its energy. Shortly after World War II, Winston Churchill had a rather spooky experience while visiting the White House. Having enjoyed a long bath and having his usual scotch and cigar, he strolled into his bedroom to come face to face with the ghost of Abraham Lincoln. Ever the cool character, Churchill, standing completely naked, reported greeting the spirit with, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have found me at a disadvantage." Lincoln's ghost supposedly smiled and then disappeared. He's like, your wiener's out, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Churchill's encounter with the unknown makes him a part of a rather curious group. Arthur Conan Doyle, of Sherlock Holmes fame, used mediums to talk to ghosts. Alan Turing believed in telepathy. Telepathy. Believed in telepathy. Sharp minds, all of them. Yet it was the paranormal that drew them in. And they're not alone. Recent surveys show at least 3/4 of Americans believe in some form of paranormal, with nearly 1 in 5 claiming they've actually seen a ghost. That's a high number. Curious about why so many people hold on to these beliefs, psychologists have begun studying the reasons behind our fascination with the paranormal. Their research suggests that believing in things like ghosts and spirits might have some surprising benefits, or at least it could make you reflect on other beliefs that you hold about the world. Some paranormal experiences are actually pretty easy to explain. For example, reports of poltergeists. Those invisible forces seem to move objects. It could be due to the damage in certain parts of the brain that affect visual processing. Certain types of epilepsy could also create the feeling that someone or something is lurking nearby, possibly explaining tales of shadow people seen out there in the corner of their eye. See, this is something that I've spoken to Adam about before. When I get in periods of my life where I am extremely stressed and I'm going through a lot, which is also a time in my life when my spiritual walls are down because I'm just trying to survive, I feel like I do see little whispers of people out the sides of my eyes.
Yeah.
And I thought I was schizophrenic, but I found out that's common. And I did not know that was common.
When your brain gets vibrating at a weird frequency, you're more open and susceptible to that other side.
Mm-hmm. Is
Believe
it
that.
brain chemistry? Is it demons? We'll never know. You never know. You never know.
Yep. Could be both.
Out-of-body experiences. Now, those are considered normal neurological events. Did you know that, Adam? What?
Yeah, right.
Even certain visual illusions can trick a healthy brain into seeing things that aren't there. One Italian psychologist shared a strange experience where he saw an old man staring back at him in the mirror one morning. Turns out it's pretty common to see distorted faces when looking in a dim light. Oh my gosh, I actually went through this the other day. I turned my car around because I saw a kitten on the side of the road. It wasn't a kitten, it was a can. But I saw it. I saw the face, I knew the colors, but nope.
No, not at all. Crushed can.
Yeah, apparently your brain just struggles to piece together the reflection, and sometimes it fills the gaps with skulls, hags, or animals. So it's possible that Churchill's ghostly encounter was a mix of exhaustion, alcohol, and maybe a trick of the light. But what about people like Conan Doyle, who seemed to experience the paranormal on a regular basis? Psychologists have a theory. They suggest that belief in the paranormal might act like a protective shield against the harsh realities of life, which makes a lot of sense. Like, you lose someone, then you see them, you know what I mean?
Yep.
When something unexpected or tragic happens, like the death or losing a job, the brain scrambles for answers, trying to find meaning in the chaos. Jennifer Whiteson, a researcher at the University of Texas, says that when we can't make sense of things objectively, our mind creates structure, even if it's an illusion. This could explain why people start seeing connections between random events, or believes knocking on wood might somehow improve their luck. But if you believe it, I feel like that changes the vibe, and it could actually be.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so I want to know who your favorite serial killers are. I want to do some research and find out some ghost stories about them. I know today we talked about John Wayne Gacy, and we went kind of deep into different directions, but that just happens sometimes. Halloween's coming up, and I have so much fun content, and I thought this was a great way to ease us into Halloween. So until next time, Boo Crew, stay spooky, and don't murder anyone, okay? Because that'd be weird.
Please don't.
Please don't. Okay. I feel like we need a power blow.
You have 4 boyfriends.
That wasn't bad, though. Rip. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to check out Scentbird at scentbird.com.